Welcome, everyone. Whether you are, the learner frantically prepping for a meeting, diving into a completely new field, or just driven by an intense curiosity to figure out how things work, we are so glad you are here.
Yeah, we've got a really fascinating one today.
We do. And I mean, just think about how exhausting it is to be healthy today. It's like a full-time job. You download a sleep tracker, you log every single macro you eat.
You're measuring your heart rate variability every morning.
Exactly. We treat our bodies like temperamental smartphones that constantly need the latest software update to run efficiently.
It is a profoundly mechanical view of human life.
Mm.
You plug in the right superfood, you input 10,000 steps, and you expect this predictable, optimized output.
Right.
Everything is measurable, highly individualized, and honestly, completely isolated from the world around you.
Which brings us to the focus of today's deep dive. We are looking at a translated document from June 2014 by an author named Xu Feng. It's titled The Way, Virtue, Method, and Art of Nurturing Life.
Quite a title.
It is. And the mission of this deep dive is to extract the ultimate blueprint for what is known as yang sheng, or nurturing life. It basically takes all those modern, exhausting life hacks and just flips them completely upside down.
It really does. It's a total paradigm shift.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at a highly structured system that promises not just longevity, but the ability to transcend the ordinary and attain Tao, meaning the natural, unforced flow of the universe.
Yeah, and to even begin discussing those daily health habits, we have to establish what we are actually trying to keep alive, right? The document lays out a foundation. It says we are nurturing 6 specific pillars.
And those are essence, chi, spirit form, heart, and nature.
Exactly.
Now, those words sound pretty sweeping, so we need to ground them for you. Form is your actual physical vessel, your bones, your muscle.
So hardware.
Yeah. And ki represents the vital energy or the breath moving through that vessel. Spirit is your consciousness. But it is the description of essence that offers a really vivid mechanism for how all this works.
I love how Xu Feng describes this part.
Me too.
Yeah.
He writes that nurturing essence is about absorbing the energy of the sun, the moon, the spiritual ki of heaven and earth. And there is this specific poetic quote to illustrate the result.
I'll read it. It's great.
It says, you are ensuring the body is half an acre a square pond, looks like a mirror, the light of the sky and the shadow of the clouds linger together. Ask the canal how to be so clear, because there is a source of living water.
Just notice the physics of that metaphor. A pond that has no inflow or outflow becomes completely stagnant.
Yeah, algae blooms, bacteria takes over.
Exactly. The water goes cloudy and toxic.
Ah,
And our physical and energetic selves operate the exact same way. If you are entirely closed off, just, obsessing over your own isolated health metrics, you become a stagnant pond.
wow.
True health requires a continuous exchange with your environment. You need that source of living water to flush out the decay.
And that concept of constant flushing moves perfectly into how the text describes nurturing the heart. Because the goal there is to allow the environment to follow the heart, enabling your mind to transcend whatever phenomena you encounter.
Right. The instruction is to manifest the heart when events happen, but then empty the heart when they pass, making sure nothing lingers.
It is exactly like managing the cache on a computer browser.
Oh, that's a perfect way to look at it.
Right. Like you open a tab to deal with an urgent email or to navigate a stressful conversation, and that tab requires processing power.
Sure does.
But if you never close those tabs, if you let every minor conflict, every lingering anxiety run in the background, your RAM gets entirely eaten up.
Mm-hmm.
The fan starts whirring, the system lags, and eventually the whole computer crashes.
Nurturing the heart is basically the practice of aggressively closing those background tabs.
Exactly.
What's fascinating here is that, while emptying the heart sounds like an immense daily challenge, the author explicitly warns that the final pillar, cultivating one's nature, is actually the hardest task of all.
That seems really counterintuitive to me. Why would cultivating our own nature be the most difficult part of the whole process?
Because the mechanism for cultivating nature requires us to completely relinquish our human wisdom and intelligence.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the text defines the original intention of the Creator as achieving the unity of heaven and man. So to get back to that unity, you have to stop trying to outsmart the universe.
Oh, I see.
You have to let go of your cleverness, your urge to constantly analyze, categorize, and, manipulate your surroundings for personal gain.
Man, that is a tough pill to swallow for anyone raised in a modern society where our intellect is essentially our primary survival tool. We are taught to intellectualize our way out of every single problem.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves on it.
So if these 6 pillars are the internal engine of this vehicle, what is the fuel powering it? The author points to 2 overarching rules, the way and the virtue.
Right. And the way is about surrendering to the path of nature. The text notes that the great way is exceedingly smooth. Like, water flows downhill, it doesn't spend energy trying to flow up. You align your actions with the natural gravity of the universe.
Makes sense.
But the virtue introduces a highly specific behavioral requirement.
Yes, the virtue of nurturing life is treating all sentient beings with kindness. The formula in the text is blunt. Benefiting others benefits oneself.
And it comes with a massive warning.
A huge one. It says if you harm other lives just to nourish yourself, you are violating the core virtue of life nurturing. Doing so makes all your health preservation efforts completely futile.
It invites endless troubles no matter how many green smoothies you drink.
I have to pause and push back on this premise because it completely shatters the modern paradigm of wellness.
Oh, so?
Are we really saying that my biological blood pressure, my cellular aging, is directly dependent on my moral treatment of the people around me?
Okay.
Because today, wellness is such an isolated, sometimes selfish pursuit.
Very true.
I buy the organic food for me. I go to the exclusive retreat for my own peace of mind. My health is my own private fortress.
And that fortress mentality is precisely what the text argues against. The philosophy here is based on profound interconnectedness. All life reciprocates the energy it receives.
Okay.
If you are causing harm or stepping on others to secure your own comfort, you are generating a ripple of resistance. And that negative energy eventually crashes back into your own clear pond. You cannot achieve biological harmony if you are living in ethical dissonance.
You know, when you look at the actual physiology of stress, that ancient philosophy actually holds up.
Oh, completely.
If you are lying or manipulating or holding on to anger, your body enters a low-grade fight-or-flight state. Your cortisol spikes, your digestion slows down, your sleep architecture falls apart.
You're literally poisoning your own pond.
Yes, you can sit in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber all day, but if your nervous system is convinced you are in conflict with the world, your body will break down.
The physical body always keeps score of our moral debts. So having established that ethical boundary, we have to look at how a person actually rewires their brain to achieve this state. This is what the text calls the method.
And the primary method is purifying the soul, getting rid of the weeds and trash so the flowers can bloom. But it goes much deeper than a simple gardening metaphor, right?
Much deeper. The actual technique requires entering a state of selflessness and formlessness.
The phrase used is Tao endures, and so do I.
Exactly. By removing the heavy, rigid armor of your ego, you become adaptable. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this practice creates a state of ethereal tranquility.
Ethereal tranquility.
Yeah, it's a foundational clearing of the mind before you attempt any specific daily health routines.
And the text makes a radical assertion to get you to that tranquility. It says that only by relinquishing the ego can you realize the self, and you must understand that all phenomena are but illusions.
That's a heady concept.
It is. But I think the best way to visualize the mechanics of this is putting on a virtual reality headset.
Okay, I like this.
You can play a terrifying survival game in VR, and your biological responses will be real. You will sweat, your heart rate will skyrocket, your breathing will get shallow. The stress is physically destroying your body.
Right, your brain thinks it's really happening.
Exactly. So to achieve ethereal tranquility, you don't fight the digital monsters harder. You just take off the headset. You realize the threats aren't real, and your nervous system instantly resets.
That is the perfect articulation of relinquishing the ego. You are no longer reacting to the illusions of status or wealth or petty arguments with a biological panic response.
Yeah.
You do this so that when you finally engage in the daily tasks of health, you are doing them with a fluid, natural alignment rather than this desperate, fearful need to control your mortality.
So once you have taken off the headset, how do you actually walk around in the real world? Here's where it gets really interesting. This brings us to the specific actionable habits, what the author calls the arts of nurturing life.
And there are 18 rules listed here, blending the physical, the mental, and the social.
Let's run through a few. Looking at the physical rules, they emphasize moderation and flow over extreme discipline.
Right. Like, moderate diet doesn't mean starving yourself. It means eating at a fixed quantity and time, avoiding blind, mindless eating.
There is regulating breath and guiding qi, which is the practice of qigong, ensuring that vital energy moves smoothly through the organs rather than getting trapped.
It also mentions making the body flexible and balancing movement with stillness. Pure movement wears out the joints, but pure stillness atrophies the muscles.
But the mechanisms behind the mental and emotional rules are particularly striking to me. Take the rule for reducing worries. The author offers a specific mental framework for this. 3 parts human effort, 7 parts fate.
I love that ratio. It's incredibly liberating for the listener.
Right.
Think about preparing for a massive presentation at work. You can do your 30% person, you research the topic, you build the slides, you practice your delivery. That is the human effort.
Right. You do what you can control.
Exactly. But whether the client is in a good mood, whether the projector breaks, whether the economy shifts, that is the 70%. Surrendering that 70% to fate is a deliberate health practice. It shuts off the anxiety loop.
That is so practical. Alongside reducing worry, there's the rule of being simple and easy. The text advises against pursuing luxurious things, specifically so that you won't be busy. It states clearly that not being busy is also a kind of health preservation.
And we treat busyness as a status symbol today.
We really do.
If your calendar is full, you must be important, but biologically, constant busyness scatters your spirit. It forces you to live perpetually in the future, planning the next meeting, rather than inhabiting your physical form in the present.
We also see rules on how to handle the people around us, like handling affairs in moderation, always leaving room and not pushing things to their absolute limit.
And treating people with equanimity, basically refusing to get dragged into arguments and debates.
But tucked into these 18 arts are a few practices that sound surprisingly modern, almost like they were pulled from a psychology seminar.
Oh, the instruction to meditate on beautiful things is a great example of that.
Yeah.
The text actually references the law of attraction and visualized thinking to physically build your body and your environment.
But the 2 rules that offer the most actionable insight for daily life, at least for me, are performing acts of hidden virtue and changing space often.
Let's talk about hidden virtue first, which refers to secret good deeds, anonymous giving.
Yes.
Let's unpack the mechanism there. Why does a good deed have to be a secret to preserve your health?
Well, think about it. If you do a favor for a coworker and then subtly remind them about it, or you donate money and post it on social media, you are just feeding your ego.
You're seeking an external reward.
Exactly. You are doing it for the external dopamine hit of validation. When you do it anonymously, paying for the coffee of the person behind you, cleaning up a mess in the break room when no one is looking, the ego starves, but the self is nourished.
Ah, I see.
You are acting in accordance with the virtue of kindness, purely for the sake of the living water we talked about earlier.
You generate positive energy without attaching any transactional strings to it.
I love that. And what about the rule to change space often? The text warns against staying in one place for too long. And from a neurological standpoint, changing your environment breaks automated habits.
Right, it forces you out of autopilot.
Yeah. If you just move your desk to the other side of the room or take a different route on your evening walk, your brain has to wake up. It maps the new surroundings. It prevents both physical and mental stagnation.
There is one deeply philosophical rule among these 18 arts that kind of ties all of this together. Know the masculine, but keep to the feminine.
The advice is to not show off strength. The author writes, water naturally becomes deep, mountains naturally become peaks. Focus your work on the weak details, the soft edges.
It is the ultimate expression of the Tai Chi principle. If you build a skyscraper that is perfectly rigid, the first earthquake will snap it in half.
Wow, great analogy.
Thanks. A structure survives because it can sway. Strength without flexibility is brittle. True endurance lies in softness, in adapting, and in giving up the desperate need to prove your dominance.
So we have walked through several of these 18 arts, from anonymous good deeds to eating on a schedule to moving your furniture. If you're listening to this and thinking, I need an Excel spreadsheet to track all these rules so I can achieve ethereal tranquility.
The author actually anticipates that exact reaction.
Yes, he does. This brings us to the crucial caveat at the end of the document. Nurturing life is a lifelong evolution, not a 30-day challenge. The author establishes a strict hierarchy for this entire system.
Right. First, you cultivate Tao, then you cultivate virtue, then the method, and only at the very end do you focus on the art, the 18 rules.
The warning is clear. Do not over-optimize. If you place too much emphasis on the art, the routines become a burden. They become cumbersome. You're supposed to use the specific habits merely to treat the symptoms.
The text uses a profound phrase here. Self-nature can generate all dharma. In this context, dharma means the methods or the phenomena of practice. If your foundational nature is aligned with the universe, the right habits will naturally emerge. You won't have to force yourself to eat moderately or avoid arguments. It will happen organically.
And we see this completely inverted in modern wellness. We try to build the roof before pouring the concrete.
All the time.
We obsess over the specific temperature of a cold plunge or the exact milligram count of a supplement, while our foundational Tao and virtue are a total mess. We want the prize of longevity without doing the spiritual work of treating people with kindness or relinquishing our egos.
Exactly. And if you do establish that foundation, the text says you achieve the mood of a very famous piece of literature, Liuxi's poem In Praise of My Humble Home.
To understand that mood, you have to look at the poem itself. It is about a scholar living in a tiny, moss-covered, dilapidated hut.
Sounds pretty bleak.
You would think so. But he doesn't care about the shabby surroundings because his mind is rich. He surrounds himself with good people, he plays his music, and he reads. The mood is absolute, unshakable contentment, regardless of external wealth.
That's beautiful.
Contrast that with a billionaire living in a mega mansion, constantly monitoring his heart rate, terrified of aging, and profoundly miserable.
One has mastered the art, but the other has mastered the Tao.
Exactly. And the document concludes with a sudden, honestly beautiful blessing. After all this lofty talk of ethereal tranquility and stripping away the ego, Shufang writes, "May everyone make love until 99, live until 120.
It's so unexpected. It immediately grounds the philosophy back into the physical joy of being human.
It is a brilliant tonal shift. It reminds us that we are not nurturing our lives so we can sit in a cave like sterile, emotionless statues.
Right.
We are clearing out the weeds and maintaining the living water so that we can actually experience the vibrancy, the pleasure, and the richness of human life for as long as possible.
This raises an important question about our ultimate goals.
Yeah.
We do all this work to preserve the physical vessel, but we often forget to actually inhabit it.
So true. To summarize this entire system for you, true longevity is a top-down approach. You align your path with the natural flow of the world.
You protect your physical and mental pond by treating all sentient beings with kindness.
You clear your cache of stressful illusions, and only then do you employ practical daily habits, using them lightly to treat the symptoms of life without ever letting them become a heavy burden.
As we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, building on the instruction to relinquish the ego and recognize illusions.
Let's hear it.
If true longevity demands that we realize our self is an illusion and requires us to surrender our human intelligence, does our modern obsession with biohacking and meticulously tracking every single health metric actually strengthen the very ego we are supposed to be shedding? Are we literally stressing ourselves to death by trying too hard to stay alive?
Man, that is the ultimate paradox to take with you today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take a deep breath, go out and do a secret good deed today, and enjoy the living water of your own mind.